Welcome back, everyone. So this video is going to be all about interesting environment effects that are built into the environment's asset. So last time we painted trees and grass, which you can still see are hanging out over here, but I've sculpted this basin here that I'm going to use to demonstrate some water effects. We're also going to learn about skyboxes and how to add fog to our scene. So under our environments package notes here, I'm going to add a couple of things. The first thing that we're going to talk about is a skybox. A skybox is the lighting and sky settings for our scene. Now, the way that skyboxes work, they're a combination of things. So they're kind of like a material in that you can see right now our sky is very, very boring. This is the default skybox in our game. We can see that there's a horizon. Basically, anything beyond. So if I pretend that I am a player inside here, the idea is that if I look up beyond anything that I have created, the skybox fills in everything else. Now, we can create more interesting skyboxes, but we can do it in one of two ways. So I'm going to talk about both those ways right now. So one of the ways that we can create a skybox is to change the default skybox in the entire scene. We do that, so change the default skybox under Window, and then the lighting menu. So let's take a look at that. Window, lighting. That brings up this other thing here. Get it over here. Yep. So here we have some scene options, and we're not going to worry about most of these today, but one of those scene options is a skybox right here, and it's the default skybox. Now, skyboxing, while the ability to have a skybox is built into Unity, I have added an additional skybox that I've gone and pulled down from the internet just to show you guys a demo. So I'm going to open this skybox right here. It's called Sky01, and it's a material. So I'm going to take that material and drag it into my skybox, and then this is what I get. So now I have this very eerie dusk setting with my sun over there. And you can see that this skybox came built in with some light and shadow settings. See that? So my trees cast longer shadows now. My directional light right now, unfortunately, is pointed in the wrong direction. My sun's over there. So if I really wanted to make this realistic, I would spin my direction light around so that the shadows are going the right way. See, right now my shadows are going the wrong way, so I can modify my lamp to do that. But this is a quick way to get some interesting horizons up and running. I want to see if I can get a view that really shows it off without the grid. There we go. We look up, there's our sky. The other thing that we can do, so if I go to my game view, here's my camera hanging way out in the middle of nowhere. In my game view, it shows whatever the skybox of the scene is. However, I can add in my inspector a skybox to the camera itself. And the reason that I may want to do this, what a camera skybox does, is it overrides the environment skybox. And the reason for that is that I may want to have multiple cameras that represent multiple areas of my game, or multiple times of day, or multiple players, and maybe I want them to see the environment, each camera to see the environment a little differently. So I'm going to go to this component menu. I'm going to say Add Component, and I'm going to add, I can also do it down here. I am going to add a rendering component, and I'm going to add a skybox. And right now it's nothing. So I'm going to click the little dot, and in the environments package, we have the default skybox. I'm going to do that. So now, because my camera is using the skybox, but my scene is using a different skybox, if I go to the game view, it's nice and bright and happy. And if I go to the scene view, I've got my gloomy scene. So I could have a default setting for the scene. I could have different cameras with different skybox settings. Okay, so we have, easy now. We have, where am I here? Skybox. That changes the default skybox for the scene. Cameras with skyboxes, override the scene skybox. Here you go. Okay, so that's skyboxes. I want to cover 2 more environment effects in this video, I believe. Actually, maybe 3. Yeah, we're gonna do 3 actually. So let's real quick. No, sorry. Yes, 3. My goodness, I can't keep track of my notes here. So that's skyboxes. The other 2 things that we're going to add to our scene to continue this gloomy look, we are going to add, and actually I'm going to take this off because I want my camera to see the gloom. I'm going to add some fog to my scene, and I'm also going to add some water to my scene. So fog is added again under this lighting panel. So this lighting panel controls a lot of the global settings for our scene. And what we want to do for our fog, we are going to, all the way down here near the bottom, there's an option for fog. I am going to check that. And that's going to take a bit because there's a lot of work that Unity has to do. All right, now we have fog. So I have fog color, I have fog mode, which there's just a few different ones here that you can try out. And then I also have the density. This density value is really, really important because the density value controls how thick the fog is. This density value only works in exponential or exponential squared. Linear, it doesn't matter. So right now, with fog, the fog can be used to simulate a few different things. So one thing that the fog can do can be to obscure stuff that's far away from the camera. And I'm going to bump this up just so we can see an example of thicker fog. Oh, there we go. That's way too thick. Okay, so let's try 0.05. Okay, that's a little bit better. So we can start to see that out here, away from my camera, there's some fog in the scene. And the closer I get to it, the fog goes away. See that? Bump this up to... What happens if we do 0.1? Is that too much? Nope, we can do 0.1. Okay. So the fog is now starting to appear around my objects. I back up, stuff disappears into the fog. Whoa, geez. So those are our fog settings. And these all go pretty quick, that's why I'm including them in the same video. The other ones, let me bump this fog down a little bit so it's not so tense. 0.5, nope, not 0.5, 0.05. The other thing that I'm going to add, and it doesn't really make sense for this skybox, but I want to show you what it is so that you can use it in your scene if you would like. It makes more sense with the sunny day. And maybe we'll take a look at our game view in a bit. Do that. So what I'm going to add next is a lens flare. So we can all be our own little junior Michael Bays in our Unity projects. A lens flare is based off of the directional light. So it's based off this guy right here. And what we do with our directional light is we would rotate it to get it to over where the sun actually is. But for right now, we're going to pretend that this is okay. So once we do that, we want to import another package. So remember, we've imported environments so far. Now we're going to go ahead and go to Assets, Import Package. We're going to import effects. Now, again, effects are a little difficult because they're going to add size and take up more memory in our game. We already added the environment assets, which is taking up some room. Now we're adding effects. If you absolutely want these effects, then it's great. But just know that there is the potential, the more we put in our game, the worse performance is going to be. So once we add these effects, which are going to take just a few moments, there we go. We are going to select our directional light. There's our directional light. And in our directional light, there is a flare property right here. We're just going to select that. And we have a few different ones here, but I'm going to choose 50 millimeter zoom. And that's our lens flare. Now this is going to be picked up by the main camera. The main camera, we're not going to be able to see it very well right now. I don't believe, because our camera can't see the light. But we'll get a better feel for this once we start moving around. Just know that the lens flare is there. All right, so I've got my forest, I've got my fog, I've got my lens flare. I'm going to make a couple of quick notes. We're going to add one more here. Effects package, which includes lens flares that can be added to directional lights. Flares from the point of view of the camera. All right. So we won't see it while we're editing, but we will see it once the camera starts moving around. The last thing we're going to add, and this is still under environment effects, water. So water is something, again, that's included with the environment package. So what we're going to do with the water is we're going to go to our, we're going to use our Project Explorer, which we rarely do, but we're going to go into Standard Assets, we're going to go into Environment, and then we're going to go into, let's see what we got here. Nope, did not want to do that. Go back to the way you were. Go back to here. I want to see this. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go under water. We're going to go under regular water. And then we are going to go under prefabs. So again, we're going to make prefabs later on in this class. A prefab is just something that is pre-made, basically, something that can be reused. So water is located under environment. If I could spell. Environment. Water. Water. And then we want prefabs. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the Water Pro Nighttime prefab, and we're just going to bring it into our scene. And let's see. Now, so this water is huge. All right, and we made it too high. So we're going to bring the water down. And we are going to scale this water way, way in. We're going to drop this down to 1 and 1. There we go. All right, so let's see what we got here. If we look at our water now, we can see that water automatically ripples and does some neat little effects that we can sort of manage. So here's our water, and it's covering this space here. And you can see that it takes up as much space as is necessary. So it can take up that little pool, or I can raise it up and it can take up all of this space. And it's going to fill based on how large the scale of our water object is. But we get a nice pre-built water effect. Okay, so this video we covered some neat effects. Remember that we'd used 2 packages today. We used the environments package and we used the effects package, which were both imported as standard assets in the Unity library. We learned about lens flares, we learned about skyboxes, fog, and water. So if you want to see how we built the rest of this environment, refer to the previous video, or if how I imported these packages, check that video as well. Thanks for watching.